So we've got parents calling into the quit line for the first time in decades, really, seeking help for their kids who are addicted to nicotine.
More and more Australian kids are picking up nicotine vapes. According to government data, the number of teenagers who said they were currently vaping has doubled in recent years. And experts are concerned that trend could continue. The issue has prompted school principals to send home letters to parents warning them about the risks of youth vaping. Some schools reportedly even installed vape detectors in student bathrooms. And with youth vaping epidemics in countries like the US, where as many as a quarter of high school students vape, our politicians have taken notice. Starting in October this year, Federal Health Minister Greg Hunt closed a loophole that allowed Australians to buy nicotine vape products from overseas.
So at the moment it's illegal to possess a nicotine vaping product in every single state and territory except South Australia. So anyone who's vaping nicotine, unless they have a prescription from their doctor, is currently doing so illegally.
On October 1st, it also became illegal to import nicotine from overseas without a doctor's prescription. And public health officials are hoping this will reduce black market sales of nicotine vapes in Australia.
The good thing about the law change from 1 October is that it should actually start to limit kids getting their hands on nicotine vaping products.
But not everyone is convinced. Some experts are concerned further restricting access to nicotine vapes could have unintended consequences. And many are questioning whether the new rules will actually prevent youth vaping, or even if there's an issue to begin with.
Vaping should not be illegal in Australia.
Oh, to be honest, I think it's ridiculous.
I feel like I'm committing a crime now.
It's not going to prevent anyone from doing it.
And it seems more and more people are doing it. You'll see people around the streets and on someone's Instagram story, everyone's sort of holding a vape nowadays.
We actually went into 3 tobacconists just near St Kilda in Victoria. And we were able to buy nicotine-containing e-cigarettes from every single one of them.
Often they're under the counter, but a lot of the times, especially in the last 3 or 4 months, I've just seen them display cases. There's a lot of different brands. But you just go in, generally you'll ask, and they'll just give you whatever you want.
When you have a black market, it is usually crowded with cowboys. So you've got people who will sell anything to anyone.
In 2019, there was an outbreak of severe and acute lung disease amongst US vapers. Thousands were hospitalised and 68 people died. Many blamed nicotine vapes sold over the counter, but the condition was actually caused by illegal cannabis vape products contaminated with a toxic substance.
Yeah, I mean, the trade-off with prohibition is you reduce overall prevalence, but you make the use much riskier. That's what we'd be doing here.
And it is so short-sighted that this government is doing everything it possibly can to prevent people from using a device which the English Health Office says is 95% safer than smoking combustible cigarettes.
In fact, I'd be prepared to say they are definitely going to be less harmful. That's an incredibly low bar to get over.
Yeah, it's a challenge for public health communication to get across the point that safer is not safe. It's not safe to use this. If you're a non-smoker, then you're better off not vaping.
But drug law reform is a difficult balance to strike between regulating safety on the one hand and limiting the number of new users on the other.
I think there's a lot of people who sort of say, well, look, just make them as available as cigarettes. The reality is we made a massive mistake making cigarettes readily available over every single counter just about in the country.
Tobacco cigarettes are still the leading cause of preventable death in Australia. It kills more than 20,000 Australians a year and is responsible for nearly 9% of our disease burden.
You compare that with all the effort that we're putting into a coronavirus right now, you might see a really disproportionate effect of investment versus number of deaths.
On October 1st, nicotine was reclassified from a Schedule 7 poison to a Schedule 4 medicine. Yet, one consumer product containing nicotine is still exempt.
Of course, that's the cigarette, which is freely available in corner stores and service stations and supermarkets.
And with approximately 14% of the population regularly smoking, health officials are concerned vaping will get a foothold in our community and expose young Australians to nicotine addiction. What's especially concerning are the predatory marketing tactics used by some vaping companies.
We know that the flavours and packaging seem to be highly attractive to kids. Some of them are like juice boxes, some of them have cartoon characters. The flavours are like Hubba Bubba and Cherry Pop. And we're certainly seeing them being marketed to kids and adolescents on social media, platforms like TikTok that kids are already going to.
Despite vowing to monitor and remove posts promoting the use or sale of nicotine vapes, platforms like TikTok, Snapchat and Instagram are still awash with pages selling illegal nicotine vapes. And studies have found that the prevalence of vaping on social media can actually influence adolescents to start vaping, or even worse, smoking.
Basically, if somebody starts using e-cigarettes, they're 3 times more likely to go on to smoke cigarettes.
But there is absolutely no evidence that vaping leads to smoking.
Well, I'm not sure what Ms. Patton's qualifications are in scientific research and epidemiology, but I'm aware of at least 15 studies.
Yeah, I mean, the evidence that's been produced for a strong gateway effect is really fairly weak.
There is a ton of evidence that says that vaping can stop you smoking.
Most adult Australians who vape are already smokers, and many use nicotine vapes to quit smoking. Some countries like the UK and New Zealand have embraced nicotine vapes as a public health measure to further reduce the number of smokers. In Australia, you don't have to look very far to find smokers who have quit by puffing on a vape.
I tried to quit 5-6 times. I tried patches, gum, Champix, the whole works, nothing sort of stuck.
I was smoking a packet of cigarettes a day.
At my worst, probably a packet a day.
Sometimes more. And then I quit 110 days ago today, and it was cold turkey pretty much. Or not, I guess, can you call vaping cold turkey? But
I just went to a vape shop from memory and then got some liquid off my mate that already had nicotine in it. And he said, just, stick with it for a few days and go from there, and it's never really looked back.
I always thought of it as like a tool to help me quit. So I think eventually, down the line, I will transition off vaping. But right now, it's really helped me stop smoke.
We do have, a reasonable number of large randomised controlled trials that have been recently published, which suggest that e-cigarettes are roughly double the quit rate compared to more traditional nicotine replacement products.
In the UK, more than half of those who successfully quit smoking now do so using a vape. And as the number of people who vape in the UK has gone up, the number of smokers has gone down.
When they are using devices that they've been provided, liquid they've been provided, and also counselling like you get from quit lines, what we see then is we see an increase in the number of people who are able to quit smoking.
Yes, true, obviously. You'd encourage people to use this and you'd give them advice on how to use them effectively.
So if somebody is tempted to try to use a nicotine vaping product for smoking cessation, the best thing they can do is go and talk to their doctor.
Doctors don't feel comfortable to write a prescription for a product that is not listed on the PBS, is not approved by the TGA. I mean, we don't ask doctors to write a prescription for tobacco.
And some experts are calling for a model like the UK, where quit services, rather than doctors, give people guidance on how to quit using vapes.
And the only obstacle to that at the moment is the hostility of quit services to the use of e-cigarettes.
And with as little as 3% of people who try to quit succeeding, providing something that could help them should be a priority.
If there's a tool out there that is clearly helping people quit in other countries, we'd be crazy not to embrace it here.